actually going to celebrate, sorry, our anniversary till tomorrow because I'm tired. Hubby had a long drive yesterday coming back from his late stepmother's funeral. So, in fact, I stayed home from church. I'm tired. I think it was last night's libations, to be honest. But anyway, I had fun. Anyway, wanted to talk a little bit more about, we talked a little bit about some people's bad attitude. Okay, fine. Done with that. I talked about that this morning. Let's talk about what Kennedy's exit means. First off, I've said this before, but I want to bring this up again. The person that was protecting the people have really done damage to the fan base, to the relationship between Lucasfilm and the fans, to the stories. Hey, Matt Perena, to basically Star Wars and the rest of the franchises that Lucasfilm owns is a story group. And when I'm going to say it was Doomcock who said this. When he said yesterday that Favreau and company have basically pointed at Pablo Hidalgo as being the instigator of a lot of shit. Now we know the story, and I believe it, that Pablo was harassing Gina because he's a low-class piece of shit. Hey, Maze, about her sister getting COVID. Hey, Cinedave. Hey, C-Man. And basically Gina let him have it. And then Pablo ran and cried to Aunt Kathy. I believe it. He's a crybaby. Guys, he's done this all the time. Let's go back to when Solo came out. And he got himself into a bunch of trouble on Twitter. In fact, he went dark on Twitter. He went protected tweets and everything. Before he left, he went through a lot of different stuff. He did that HVAC solutions thing and all the rest of this shit. Just whining on his Twitter account. I don't know why they're picking on me. I'm just a poor little geek who makes 7 fucking figures. Of course, you'd have to make 7 figures if you lived in San Francisco, because San Francisco is the most expensive city in the United States. It's one of the most expensive cities in the world. I'm sure they tax you if you shit on the sidewalk there. Okay? So he's on there doing that. And then, of course, I posted the Twitter bios that he had, leftist dirtbag. He got that from me because I called him that. All billionaires should be disappeared. Interesting little turn of phrase. Yeah, and they did that. Let me get it. There's nothing really going on. It's just more. I want to talk a little bit more about what to expect, and I'm never gonna forget that shit. I'm never gonna forget what they did to Han. And you guys were like, okay, fine. Harrison Ford wanted to go, so you were all very happy with the way he went. I'm like, can't wait to see what they do to Luke, and I was right. Okay. All right. Anyway, but that all billionaires should be mulched, disappeared, and or mulched. Where's Pablo from? I'll refresh you. He was actually born in Chile during the time when Augusto Pinochet was running around disappearing leftist opponents. Obviously, Daddy was one of those opponents and ran like a raped ape to I don't, we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Daddy ran like a rape ape with the family, took the family with him to Canada. Pablo ends up here. Disappeared. That's what Augusto Pinochet would do with leftist opponents. It's okay, Maze. It's okay. Yeah, he should have. Or, I'll get into that. So Pablo using that as a real, like, I mean, he's really, I think he wears what happened to his family and to his. And you're right, Mephiston, but let me finish what I'm talking about, and then we'll get into that. I think Hidalgo wears his family's, you know, trials, which they did to themselves, if you think about it, on his sleeve. And he's more than willing to do the same thing to people who don't agree with him that was done to him. Which you kind of go back and go, wow, didn't you learn anything? But no, he is a dyed-in-the-wool commie or left-wing fascist, either, you know, and plenty for him, but not for the rest of us. Okay. He's not very sophisticated. He's not a sophisticated thinker. He's really just a political ideologue who got into nerd culture. Well, Carl, if you watched Doomcock's video from yesterday, and Andre at Midnight's Edge then checked it out, and his contact said, yeah, it's happening. She's either gone or is leaving. Yeah, yeah, and what's all right? So we've got all that. We have all that going on. Okay, and I'll get into that, and then we'll talk a little bit about the reasons why this is all happening and bring up what they did to Han and Luke and Leia. Okay, so Doomcock, it was a minor point, but it's a big one. Said Disney is telling Lucasfilm, we want to see your phones. Now, somebody said, but can't they get sued for that? I don't know. Being someone whose last job I worked for the federal government, I was a presidential appointee. If I walked in and security guys were basically like, we need to see your phone, your personal phone, I'd be like, fine. Well, I don't know what this is about, but fine. I, and so in Disney, and I think when I think about this, it might be harassing fans, but I think it has something to do with the rewriting Ripley. This is a theory I've made up because it just makes sense. You can't imagine those two dim bulbs, Lady V and Kate, being having the wherewithal and the intellect to come up with that blog, that long, lugubrious blog where they came out with all the wrong conclusions. Go watch Aiden Paladin's video because everything they said in their blog, what their conclusions were from the evidence, is wrong. They literally, didn't really. It's like this. I can't imagine a millennial, like one of these hardcore left wing millennials, actually being able to decipher data. You know what I'm saying? And I can't imagine these two dim bulbs, taking time out from stalking Adam Driver and harassing his family, being able to actually, collect that information, put together. They brag that the person who helped them do it won a Webby. Here's the deal. Michelle Buckman, who used to be Lucasfilm's social media person, has won a Webby. Asked, I think it was last year, to talk to people, and she wanted information because she basically wanted to put something together, talk about how to clean up the fans, get better fans. And somehow Kate was introduced to her. Now, here's some other stuff. We've got Matt Martin following them. We've got Matt Martin retweeting their blog. We've got Pablo following them and retweeting. Hey, Anton, and retweeting their blog. Okay. Now, the preponderance of circumstantial evidence, in my opinion, because there's more than just Pablo and Matt Martin. There were a lot of Lucasfilm people following them, retweeting it, etc. My opinion, my theory, and I would go to a DA and a judge to say, I want a warrant. The preponderance of circumstantial evidence leads me to assume that Buckman wrote that blog, and those two stupid Raylos are sacrificial lambs right now. But it originated inside Lucasfilm because Gina said all of the harassment that she was receiving on Twitter were Lucasfilm employees. She knew they were bots. So I think maybe Disney is trying to figure out how that started. I'm going to repeat what I said this morning for the people who weren't here. Do you remember Gina posting that picture of Iger in the Gina Carano Did Nothing Wrong t-shirt? And it said, thanks, Bob. If she was just screwing around and poking the bear, no. A lot of people don't think deeply. Oh, she's just doing that because she doesn't have anything else to lose. Think. Before you open your mouth, think. She wants to get back. She wants to be in movies. She wants to make her own movies. Why, oh why, would she be poking the bear trying to piss Bob Iger off? You know he saw it. I know he saw it. I'm on Twitter and I saw it. I saw the tweet. I saw the Instagram post. I have a theory that Iger has stuck up for her. I think both Bobs have. And I think a lot of the shit that's going down now with Kennedy, not only is this rewriting Ripley nonsense that has just caused way more trouble for the people who started it, not the fans, because fans are outraged. And the Gina Carano thing. Why would she do that? Because maybe Iger is trying to figure a way to bring her back. All right. I really honestly think that it wasn't what people think or immediately knee-jerk reaction. So, okay, what were we going to talk about next? Let me see. All right, yeah, Han. Well, Mephiston, that was the rumor, but we can go into that rumor later. I remember all this stuff like I know the back of my hand, trust me. But how did all this stuff start, and why why is the story group such a hindrance? And why did all this stuff start? Well, first off, when Lucas sold Lucasfilm to Disney, he didn't inform Harrison or Mark or Carrie of the sale. They were signed to a deal. They were all going to hang out together, and it was great. And then, oh, okay. So what they thought they were going to get wasn't. Especially when Disney said, we want to do fan service and we're too afraid that George's ideas and his script outline, his script overview was too in deep with the Force, midichlorians and the wills and all the rest of that stuff. And, you know, and in fact, when you look at the things that JJ said about what The Force Awakens was going to be, no midichlorians. You know, it's like, shut up, JJ. Just shut up. You know, and what they did, they didn't tell anybody what they were doing. When you look at The Force Awakens, it is a film written by committee. And they do this, all right, I'm going to say this right now. Hollywood has a preponderance of that going on. It is, you can't find a big screen movie without 5 or 6 writers in the credits. Okay? Very interesting to me how that all kind of works. But when you watch A Force Awakens, you can see that. You can see it's soulless because, hey, you know what? These corporate entities don't make deep, philosophical, good stories. They throw crap up on the wall to see if it sticks. Okay. You had a washed up, I would say bitter Larry Kasdan, and, you know, J.J. Abrams, who's in over his head. Now, J.J. Abrams, at the age of 18, wrote Regarding Henry, which is one of Harrison Ford's best acting moments. He was really good in that. It's really kind of sad that he can do that, and yet when it comes to making a movie that should have heart, that should have a soul to it, like Star Wars, you know, there's nothing original, there's nothing compelling about it. What they did to Han is unbelievable, and you know, as I can't remember which one you guys said, as iconic as Harrison Ford is, he would have done what the script asked. He didn't ask them to, run Han into the ground. A lot of people say, and JJ says that they couldn't figure out how to keep Luke into the script because every time he showed up, larger than life. They said that about Harrison. In fact, I got the tweet. Pablo Hidalgo saying, I like The Force Awakens until this guy showed up. Han Solo. Because suddenly, no one gave a shit about those characters anymore. Okay, now, you either make the movie about the OT heroes, or you make the movie without them. But you can't have both if you're not talented enough to create an environment where the new characters get the handoff in a gentle manner from the older characters. And what they did, well, he was 18 when he wrote that Regarding Henry. His dad was some sort of big hot shot, was some big sort of hot shot movie mogul, and Abrams was basically able to get his script to Harrison Ford, who was like, yeah, I like it, I'll do it. Okay, it's a good movie. Regarding Henry is a really good movie, but it's about the only thing that he's ever done that was really, compelling in a way that would show that he had some talent. I don't think he's the kind of director, even though he tends to go after the big, huge tentpole movies now, and he shouldn't, because I think his talent is in smaller, not necessarily art house films, but in dramas. Oh, hey, Steven, how you doing? Wow, I haven't seen you here in a while. So, you know, they don't know what to do with Han Solo. They're not really thinking, and instead of really exploring, being respectful of the character, they just devolve the character. They devolve the character. They devolve Leia, and Luke is nowhere to be seen. Oh, she is. Yeah, she's an egomaniac. I don't know about that though. I mean, Betty Davis, and actually, if you ever watch a bio of Joan Crawford, she really wasn't as bad as people think she was. And it's that, but that's a whole different thing. I don't want to talk about it right now. Anyway, I'm sitting here going, I'm watching this, watching the movie. I'm thinking, this is a new hope. What did everything about The Force Awakens, when I think about it, was bad. And me watching it in the theater, I knew it was bad. You know, I went from being completely, geeking out and happy and eating my popcorn and sipping my soda and, cheering when I saw Han and Chewie, to wondering, how the fuck does Han Solo lose the Millennium Falcon? What the hell happened with him and Leia? And why does this make me feel like this was a paint by numbers, lazy, apathetic film? Oh yeah, it was. I mean, it was derivative. It was a copy of A New Hope, but they bashed the heroes. And then you get into TLJ, which bashes them more. Then we get what they did to Luke. So you take the two main heroes, Han Solo, a reformed smuggler, even though there's a lot of stuff you can do with that character before he meets Luke and Leia to give you an idea of what kind of a person he really is, how he got to where he got, and all that, which would be, I think, really, really, which I think that would be really interesting to see something like that. And the attempt was Solo. Now, granted, the idea of doing a Han Solo origin movie, I think, is a great idea. But you gotta have the right story, you gotta have the right lead, and you gotta have the right director from the start. All right? You gotta have a good cast. I'm gonna say something really nasty. Jonas Suotomo is a great guy. He's too damn short to play Chewie. Okay. Peter Mayhew was 7'3". You can't find anybody else that big? Come on, guys. All right. Jonas Suotomo's a nice guy, but not Chewbacca. Okay. So they get Alden Ehrenreich. I've been through that. I don't want to talk about it. John Kasdan, who only gets the script because he's Larry Cat. Well, when because Larry Kasdan is his son, and he even said, I didn't really want to write the movie. Really, John? Really? Then why did you take it? Because of Daddy? Daddy got me the job. I'm like, I walked out of The Force Awakens stunned too. Okay. But, you could have a really good Han Solo origin movie, but they didn't do any of it right. Typical Kathy Kennedy. I know better than anybody. Pablo Hidalgo, I think that day in the Geeks and Gamers chat, when I think Maze and I were actually talking to him, and him saying, well, the reason why they didn't like the movie that much is because the guy didn't really look like Harrison Ford, and that's blow. It was like, that's only part of it. And Matt Piranha's right. That's only part of it. Aaron yuck. Look at him. Then he can't act. When I saw the trailer, the first trailer, I was like, when he opened up his mouth, have this kid's balls dropped yet? He sounds like a 13-year-old. What the hell? Harrison Ford has that low, deep voice that is the perfect baritone, the perfect level of baritone from a manly voice. And we get, you know, I mean, I was absolutely, you know, you know, whatever. So, they do that to Han, and then Ryan Johnson gets a hold of Luke and drags him through the mud. And, it's like not listening to Mark Hamill was a dumb idea. Ha, karate stick. Yeah, he does. Not listening to Mark Hamill was a dumb idea. I can't imagine if Carrie was still alive what she'd have been saying, because none of it would have been complimentary. I guarantee it. I mean, yeah, I mean that, there was, at the end of a Star Wars movie, you should walk out, the first one in a movie, I'll get to that, Vader fan. The first moment in a movie, the first blah, 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 the first movie in the trilogy, you should walk out like this. La, la, la. The second movie, you should be jabbering away going, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? There should be a cliffhanger. Third movie, walk away in triumph like a god, like a boss. Instead we got, did I just see that? What the hell was that? I mean, the scenes between Han and Leia and TFA should have had a laugh track attached to it. Oh, horrible. Again, writers by committee, and Harrison Ford probably, I wouldn't doubt it, probably said, are you guys really sure you want to do this way? And, JJ going, oh, no, don't worry, Harry. Don't. Can you just say, don't worry. This will be great. Have you guys ever seen the YouTube video of Abrams running frantically around on a stage talking about mystery boxes? Have you ever seen that? I swear on a stack of Bibles, the guy smoked a bunch of crack, did acid and weed all at the same time. I've never seen anybody so out of his mind than J.J. Abrams. I am not kidding. All right, I am not kidding. When we get to the TLJ, and it's like, I was so insulted after seeing what they did to Leia and Luke that but you know what? I spent the money. I'm not going to leave till the fucking thing is over. The moment the credits hit, I walked out the door. All right. I walked out the door and it was silent, not stunned silence. It was like, people walking out after getting the shit kicked out of them for 2.5 hours. I didn't go to bed. I got a chance to see TROS on, in a way that I didn't have to spend any money on it. And I scrolled through most of it. I think Maze remembers me telling him, worst thing I have ever, literally, again, another movie made by committee, written by committee. You can't do that. When you look at the first 3 movies, they had writers. George Lucas, he wrote out the story. Then he wrote the script for A New Hope. Then we had Lee Brackett, When she passed away, Larry Kasdan took over Empire Strikes Back. Then Larry Kasdan, with Richard Marquand and Lucas hovering over him, wrote Return of the Jedi. Okay. Lucas wrote the script for every one of the prequel trilogies. It, it was the whole, when you think about the first off, it's a missed opportunity. Second of all, it was a bitch slap to George Lucas and everything that he created. And third of all, it was an insult to our intelligence. And I gotta say, I think the person who knows that best at in this kerfuffle is named Jon Favreau. Now, what's gonna happen? Well, okay. If we're not, now I'm gonna tell you guys something. We're not going to hear anything about those phones. Okay? Probably not. And if we do, it's going to be blah, blah, blah got fired. Blah, blah, blah was laid off. Blah, 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 blah was laid off. Okay? And I got to tell you something. If there's an announcement that, let's say, Matt Martin and Pablo are both fired, terminated, that'll be a signal that Kennedy is gone. Okay? All right? And no, the thing about it in the Kennedy era is rebrand it, redo it, and make it mine. Everything was always about her, and it's just not going to happen anymore, right? So anyway, I do believe that there are changes coming. I mean, every time I think about that Reddit thing, the more I think Cameron's right, that it came from her office, that it was a PR stunt, trying to kiss JJ's. Yeah, and you're right, Mace, you're right. Trying to kiss JJ's ass. In fact, it was comicbook.com. Mace sent me a link or a thing saying that one of the scenes that they cut out of The Rise of Skywalker was the scene with Judi Dench as Millennium Falcon's designer. What the fuck? I kind of go, wait a minute. Hold on. Millennium Falcon, when Luke meets Han, is about 65 or 70 years old. It is a battered old ship, okay, that's been souped up with illegal military grade hyperdrive, okay? How in the world? And all I can say is someone, and this is my theory, is very afraid that the sequel trilogy is going bye-bye. Because now all of a sudden it's like, the JJ cut, and it's Lucasfilm doing it now. Okay? Because they don't want to lose what they did. I'm like, I don't want to. Raise your hands. Raise your hands. How many of you really want to sit through a 4-hour J.J. Abrams Star Wars movie? I know I don't, but how many of you? Because I can't imagine how fucking pissed off I'd be about a quarter of the way through it. I mean, so what they're trying to do, I don't know why. I've absolutely, yeah, there's a Lucas cut. Here's the deal. And I believe Doomcock, all right, that back last June, one of the big investors showed up at the ranch, asked if there was a Lucas Abrams cut. They said yes. He went in, watched it, and was so angry he was just silent. Why was he angry? Because what he saw in a rough cut was better than what they released. You know, I mean, and that's, oh God, yeah, you're right, Maze. And that's true. Okay, so I think this stuff with Kennedy has been happening for a long time. Yeah, I mean, this is what I want, and I think this is what John and Dave are going to do. They're going to take what George put out there and they're going to probably combine it with what they're doing. And it's because look, you can get a script treatment. I mean, Return of the Jedi, that script changed a lot. You know, Empire Strikes Back changed a lot. There's no reason that when you look at a script treatment that it's going to be the same thing. You're going to see that up on the screen. This is an outline for what I would like to do. Okay, that's what that is. So you can have those and add and subtract things that make sense. Okay, and that's probably what they'll do in in the universe. The fact that, I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what anyone says. You can say whatever you want. Have your opinion. I don't give a shit. When you see the thumbnail of this live stream and you see George Lucas sitting there in front with Dave and John and Kathy in the shadows in the back, I know, God on his throne in heaven knows he's been helping them. He's involved. I don't know why people almost don't want him to be involved. But I'm going to say this. The person that decided it would be a baby Yoda, hey, Paul, is probably George Lucas. Okay, maybe it was Jon Favreau, but I think it was probably George Lucas. Because if I remember right, there's a story out there that Iger went back to George saying, help us, Obi-Wan, you're our only hope. Okay, George, this is his baby. This is his legacy. And so let's go back to what, we've all had these run-ins with Pablo if you've been on Twitter. And I really, I think he's in deep shit. He might not understand that. What I love about this is that if they let him go, he's going to be shocked. And if he goes before Kathy, that means she threw him under the bus, just like Cameron said. Okay? They know it, but it's like one of those things. Pablo, if he says it out loud, then it's real, and he has to deal with it. Okay? And that's what's going to happen. And there's going to be a new, better direction for Star Wars. There has to be. Disney is hurting for money. They paused, building, adding on to Galaxy's Edge because they're reskinning it for Mandalorian. Yesterday, I was screwing around on eBay and found an Admiral Holdo 6-inch action figure for sale for $8. I, of course, didn't buy it. The one that Dave Pensack sent me went up in a puff of smoke. It's just. But what's going to happen is they're revamping everything. They didn't think it through. Okay. Now, what do I think how it's going to play out, I think, it could go one of either way. Either Kennedy announces she's leaving. Okay. And then the layoffs at Lucasfilm commence, or the layoffs commence and then she announces she's leaving. If she doesn't leave until after those layoffs, then it's going to definitely be she threw people under the bus. All right. And I honestly think that I gotta say this. I said this feels different than it did 2 years ago or 3 years ago in 2018. This feels like it's about time. I am really it's really interesting watching all this happen. But I really do think that Disney is really, really looking at the situation on Twitter, the situation with these people that have been treating fans like shit, and they all have. They all have. I got into an argument with Hidalgo's wife, she saw one of my videos, and she's a great Catholic, right? She follows a heretical priest named James Martin. The guy doesn't follow the magisterium. And in fact, when the Pope, who's not, I'm going to be honest, not one of my favorite guys either, basically reiterated what dogma is for a certain thing going on, Martin lost his shit, and he works for the Vatican. Just wait a minute, I'll be right back. Gotta grab something for my nose. So, she is, in my opinion, what we call a cafeteria Catholic. And cafeteria Catholics are people who, sorry guys, go through the dogma, go through what the church teaches, and picks what makes them feel good. It's like, if you're going to do that, just go be a Protestant. There are Methodist churches that do everything. They're pro-abortion, they're pro-gay marriage, la la la. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm, whatever. But as a Catholic, I can't really support that stuff. Okay. And I'm not doing it because I hate people. I'm doing that because I can't. It's not what the church teaches. And so she's harassing me because I'm this is my confirmation present from my mom-in-law. And I'm looking at her going, really? You are? And I'm just, it's appalling to me what someone like that thinks is moral. I'm sure that she's probably got a shrine to either Karl Marx in her house or Che Guevara. Okay. I'm sure she's probably got a something like that. And I'm sorry, but that is incompatible with what you say you believe in. And that to me is hypocrisy. It's absolutely fucking hypocrisy. And thanks, Dave. Yeah, please hit the like button. So I'm like going with her, and but yeah, I've gotten in fights with her. I've gotten into tried to befriend Matt Martin just to see what he was like. And to be honest with you, on Twitter, he's like talking to a bag of almonds. He is so stupid I can't even. But these guys are gone because they've caused an enormous amount of trouble for Disney. Not just Lucasfilm, for Disney. Think about it. Well, she looks like one of those women who ups the plain Jane factor for I don't know, brownie points. Frizzy hair, kind of fat. You know, she calls herself Chrissy, which is fine. I don't care. I mean, I've got a friend named Chrissy. She's married to Sean Connery's former body double from Doctor No, and she knows Harrison Ford really well. But that's not the point. That this woman, you know, talking to people like that, you suddenly realize they don't know what the hell they're doing. Okay, they've caused, because they live in an echo chamber, they've caused an enormous amount of trouble and damage to the brands they represent, and they are too dumb to know about it. What was that great line from Reality Bites? Money's like money comes in and out of your life like snow. It's not something you actually have to earn or anything, is it? And that's the way they are. And I think Monday is going to be very interesting. We may or may not hear something. Now, if these guys are using company phones to harass, bother, attack, make pointed attacks at fans or Gina Carano, using fake accounts and whatever, they're fired. If Disney wants their personal phones, if look, here's the deal. You work for Disney and you're on their dime during work hours, 9 to 5, and you're setting up bot accounts to troll an actress that actually works on your franchise. What the fuck is wrong with you? Okay. And Disney might be wanting to look in on that. I don't know. Okay. None of us know, and that's the thing. But I gotta say, man, what is gonna happen now is in the next few weeks is gonna be really interesting. In fact, I'm gonna say this. May the 4th is going to be extremely interesting. Bad Batch comes out. What else is going to be announced? Okay. And I gotta tell you, it's been a long time coming. Oh God, Lo, I would love to do that. I would love to do that. I would walk in. I would walk in, first of all, just walk in anonymously and just see these people in their own work environment with someone that, you know, showing me around the place. Then the next day, I'd have a big meeting and they would all be gone. Do you ever remember the movie Patton when the guys are all hanging out? They got, pictures of pinup girls in their barracks, and he walks in and he sees one, and he just like that with his riding crop. That'd be me. He kicks one guy who's asleep on the job in the ass. That'd be me. you know, they need someone like that. And when Doomcock said that they pinpointed the problem as being Pablo, oh yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, the only person in the story group I keep is Leland Chi. The rest of them would have to go. All right, the rest of them, we're making Star Wars, not the Communist Manifesto. Okay, we're here to make money for Disney. Okay, not someone's pet, narcissistic, you know, whatever. It's just, yeah, this is, if Doomcock's right, and I think he is, well, I tell you something. You guys know the story about Geode, right? Go. This is so funny. Claudia Gray admitted it was her boyfriend that came up with that. You can all break up into groups and figure out how she has a boyfriend. Because I'm like, you guys aren't really understanding what's going on here. How the hell does she have a boyfriend? Okay. I'm like, the pink elephant in the room. Her with a boyfriend? You know, and that's the funniest thing. I mean, out there was that part, not even The Rock. I mean, but I'm gonna tell you something. They trolled us with this. They've been trolling us for a long time with this. And we now know that. Okay, we we know that now. But I mean, I thought she was a lesbian. That's what I thought. She's so interested in non-binary, trans, what the hell? She's got a boyfriend? She's a cis female. I mean, what the fuck? You know, I'm like, oh God. Yeah, you know, it's just it's not. They didn't even try to do this. They didn't even try, and they didn't try in any of their novels. I mean, if I was getting rid of Pablo, I would look him straight in the eye and say, "You're not a Star Wars fan." And the reason why I say that is because nothing you've produced yourself would indicate any passion for the franchise, any care for it, any respect for George. Okay, you're not a Star Wars fan at all. All right, I would tell him that right to his face because he needs to hear it. Okay, that guy needs to hear the bad news. You know, but as but yeah, I mean, this is guys, this is really happening. All right, and you know, tomorrow or Monday, and I'm gonna tell you something. We might not hear anything Monday, but Mondays and Fridays, though Mondays, to a lesser extent, but Fridays are usually days announcements of oh, I know, Anton. I know all about her. I've done videos about her. No, there've never been any. I don't think Hidalgo's ever talked about George, talked about anything that he's done. I do have, I think I have him, screenshots of him attacking the prequels. You know, but yeah, she in the video, the Brady Bunch type video they did for the launching of the High Republic. She says her boyfriend, my boyfriend. We're worried about Iraq, and she has a boyfriend. That was her idea. Geode was his idea. Okay, so you know it's 2 weeks before, yeah, and you know usually Fridays are the days that people get fired. All right, but sometimes Mondays too. Okay, I do think that Disney really is taking a hard look at what's been going on Twitter. I mean, had Bob Chapek's email and Bob Iger's email, and there, that's exactly what she was doing. That's the picture I saved from the that video conference they did. I'm like this. Wrong franchise, bitch. Wrong franchise. You know, I do think they're taking it seriously. And I think the blowback of firing Gina and the fact that, I mean, that Kennedy is probably going, I didn't realize people hated me so much. Really? You didn't? Get your ass out of your echo chamber. Okay. Look around you. You know, and, the rumor that her stock at Disney's fallen, her stock in Hollywood's fallen. When I hear people say she's the most powerful woman in Hollywood, was, past tense. But you're only as good as your last success. And she hasn't had any. None. Okay? None. Think about it. All right? This is unbelievable. Anyway, all right, someone asked about Rogue One. I liked Rogue One. I thought it was a good movie. I saw it twice at the theater. It's the only one that I had seen twice at the theater that I would have gone to go see. I think it fits quite well in George's universe. In fact, I think he said he liked it. And that says a lot. Oh, I know. I know. I mean, yeah, the space battle in Rogue One was every bit as good as anything that came before it. It was, I mean, the characters aren't that memorable, but the story was. Yeah, and you're right, Trela. It is. I mean that. Yeah. You know, I. You know, I really did like it, and it did have an authentic Star Wars feel. But I'd heard, and I'm not sure if this is true or not, that they actually brought George in to help him with it, which would make sense. I mean, they really respected the legacy characters, Vader, you know, the Mon Calamari, and Leia. Then you had a throwback to the prequels with Bail Organa showing up. Oh yeah, I mean yeah, I mean it was it was a well done movie, and that's all to Gareth Edwards, not because of Kathy. I mean, Kathy got mad at him and fired him. I thought the only character that they didn't need, the only two they didn't need was Imwe and his buddy. It was too much like an Asian version of Han and Chewbacca. I'm like, and they were thrown in there for diversity. And they didn't do a bad job. But when I think of all the stuff that happened, really, that could have been something you could cut out. Okay, but they didn't take away from the movie. But I thought it was great. And Mads Mikkelsen played my favorite character. He played the perfect father protecting his family, I thought. It just I mean, all around a great character. But anyway, I've been on for an hour. I kind of got sidetracked. But what can we expect if she's gone? Is you're gonna see, a lot of shit going down. I mean, and I'm gonna tell you something. There are times not when to take Reddit seriously and not to. And this is right now is to take Reddit seriously, because I'm gonna tell you something. Everything in that Reddit post kind of reiterated what Doomcock's been saying. And some of it contradicted itself, which made me laugh my head off, because you can't have a fundamental disagreement on how you're gonna go about telling a story, either narrative or an aesthetic D&D, Dungeons and Dragons feel, which is what Pablo wanted. You're gonna have a civil war, because those are two completely different ideas. And and I'm gonna tell you something. It's deeper than that. When you've got Hidalgo attacking Star Wars Theory for crying at the arrival of Luke Skywalker, you have a civil war going on. Okay? No, a no shit civil war, especially when you got the punks that Hidalgo hangs out with on Twitter, you know, with to him when he was mocking him. Yeah, drunk 3PO said that. You know, I gotta say, you know what? What I want to tell you guys, what I want to say is this: it's all right to like what you want to like, but when you have to, when you like hurts what other people like, hurts what came before it, and it hurts, and when you're told they did this to Han, they did this to Luke, they did this to Leia, we don't like it, and you start calling people names, you start attacking them personally, calling them Yahtzees and racists and misogynists and homophobes. No, because you turn it into what you say you like. You suddenly turn it into all about you. So when I look at what the Reylos have done to me in the past, and other people in the past, it's not that they like Reylo so much. It's about them and them getting their way and them not understanding that you can't just walk over to somebody's sandcastle and knock it over and then rebuild what looks like a giant mound of shit and say, there you go. That I like this better. All right, because that's what Hidalgo and Johnson and JJ and Kennedy did. That's what they allowed to happen. And what I find interesting is that they have enabled, obviously, two women, at least two Reylos. And I think Matt Martin probably actually befriended these two bitches. With narcissistic personality disorders, with erotomania disorder, to attack, or they put them as the poster children of their attack on the fandom. You don't, when people are sick, and it doesn't matter if they've got strep throat or they've got mental illness, and these two girls are mentally ill. In fact, I would say after going through Michelle Buckman's tweets, she's mentally ill. I would say a lot of these people who spend all their time on Twitter attacking us and other people because they don't like what they say, or, I want my way, Kyle run, to the point where it hurts everything that came before it, allowing them this freedom to do all this shit is, it boggles the mind. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I have been involved with fan websites, and when you see people that are unhinged, who are really, really unstable, wandering around, attacking other fans, etc., etc. I really have to think that there's something really wrong with the people enabling them. You don't enable mental illness. You get help. Anthony Arribas is a troll, and I hid his messages. Maze, what do you guys want to do something else with him, like remove him? That's fine. I don't care. Again, you can't come here and troll. I tolerate no trolling. All right. My chat's not that big, so I can see what you're doing. Okay, and I watch it. This is my chat. If you want to start a fight, I'm gonna kick your ass out. Okay? You'll get kicked out. One of the guys will kick you out, or I will. But you're not tolerated here. You're not coming here for. I'm not giving you attention. Okay? You don't get that from me. Hey, Demanjanai. So I really, we're just. I'm talking a little bit more about Kennedy and the rumor that she's leaving or is gone already, and the fact that it seems like a pretty strong one. The fact that we're talking about what's going to change after, and I think it was Rob on Midnight's Edge who said if Kennedy goes, she's the only thing keeping the story group together. They're gone too, which means Pablo's gone. You bet your sweet ass Pablo knows that. He might not act like it, but he's the reason why Rewriting Ripley came out, the reason why everybody's getting attacked, Drunk 3PO is getting attacked, is because they know it. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. Guys, we are going to be smeared and targeted. Okay. Yeah, and I'm going to say this. First off, I think the people who behind the High Republic know it's a trash fire. Second of all, I think that the people inside the Lucasfilm Story Group, which isn't the writers, Gray is a contract writer. Justina Ireland is a contract writer. Older is a contract writer. They're not inside the story group, but they do attack us. What I think is gonna happen is once Disney figures out what's going on, and I really do believe that's why they want the phones. They want to look at the phones. They're going to start cleaning house. And I said this before, I'll say it again. If Kennedy leaves and the story group gets fired, that's one thing. If the story group gets fired and then Kennedy leaves, Kennedy threw everybody under the bus. All right, she's going to save her ass, or at least leave on what appears to be good terms. Okay. All right, and that's what's going to happen. Okay, so anyway, I've been on here for almost 70 minutes. So I'm going to go because my voice is going and I need some water. You guys have a good day, a good night. And I'm going to wrap myself up in a blanket and just wait for my husband to get home because I am tired. I'm exhausted. Last night killed me, but I'm really glad everybody had such a good time on Doomcock's live stream last night. I'm going to try to be around at least for Echo Base. Okay, if I could stay until 8:30, 8 o'clock in bed till like 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30, I could be up a lot. I could be up a lot later, but the dog gets me up at 6. So anyway, I gotta go. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good day. Have a great Saturday night. If you're on Echo Base and I'm on, I'll talk to you. See you around the galaxy.